Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for joining me today. I am super excited to share these projects with you. They are using the new Marabou alcohol inks. Marabou came out with a line of alcohol inks, I believe it was last year, and they came out with some new ones recently, and so I wanted to share them. They are super cool. I'm going to go ahead for today's video and use some graphic black craft plastic, graphics white craft plastic, and then I'm also going to use a Ranger alcohol ink cardstock that's in black and one that is in white. So here are my swatches for the new colors for the Marabou alcohol ink, and it's not really any new colors as far as the solid colors. What they've done is they've come out with a line of metallics, neons, some glitters, and a solid white, which would be similar to the Ranger Snowcap alcohol ink in white. Some of the things I'm going to be using today are mainly my baby aspirator, this 91% isopropyl alcohol, which I put in a cup, and then I'm going to use my blending solution from Ranger, and I will also use the Marabou, which they call it an extender. So first I'm going to start out with the black, and so I'm doing the Ranger cardstock and then the graphics plastic. And that's the main difference between both the white and the black, is that the graphics line is plastic and the Ranger side is going to be an alcohol ink cardstock. So I'm starting out using this super pretty metallic blue color, and then I'm going to take that snow white, or not snow white, Jen. I'm going to take the white color from Marabou, and then I'm just going to add in some of the extender and then use the Ranger in Mermaid. And then I'm going to take my baby aspirator and move that around. Again, this side is the craft plastic, so it moves, the ink moves really well on it because it is a slick surface. And I've been using the white opaque craft plastic for a while for my alcohol inks because the price point is excellent. You can't beat it compared to the Yupo. And as well, the craft plastic takes heat a lot better. It will still melt if you hold heat on it, but it does really stand up to heat pretty well. And so this is the Ranger cardstock, and the thing I love about this Ranger cardstock, it is pure like black. It's like chalkboard black, and it is so deep that all of the colors that you put on it just turn out really super beautiful. So for this card, I am using the Marabou colors of metallic pink, and then the glitter, which is glitter pink, green, and gold. And then I'm also using the Ranger alcohol ink in flamingo. And I use my heat tool a lot, not necessarily to dry the ink, but just to create movement in the ink, and it gives some really cool patterns. I don't have an air gun, or I don't know what those things are called, or anything other than my heat tool and my baby aspirator, but I was thinking about getting some canned air because I've seen some people use that and it turns out really cool. So I'm just going in and adding color where I feel like I need it, and then using the blending solution and then moving it around as well with my baby aspirator. And then I waited until my panels were almost completely dry, and I took that little cup that has the isopropyl alcohol and I'm dipping it a paintbrush in it, and I'm just doing splatter, so it's going to give you the same effect as a distress ink would when you put water on it, and there will be watermarks on your project. And then I'm also taking this violet color in the Marabou and mixing it with the isopropyl alcohol, and then dipping my paintbrush in it and making splatters using that as well. I think it gives a really super cool effect. I did splatter this panel with the white alcohol ink. So these are some of my favorites. These alcohol inks are so vibrant and pretty. These are the neon colors. There are 4 colors. And this first panel, I'm using the neon orange and the neon pink. And this is on the Ranger alcohol ink cardstock. I will also add a little bit of white in this panel as well, and then move that around with the blending solution as well as my heat tool. And so this next panel, I am using the neon yellow and the neon blue. which of course makes a green color. And so there is going to be yellow, green, and blue on this panel. And I'm basically following the same process. I add some of the white ink, and then I let my panels dry till they're pretty much dry, and then splatter those panels with the isopropyl alcohol as well. And then I'm going back to the first two I created. I tried to put this white piece of paper is actually like white reactive foil, and I just, for some reason, I can't get it to work when I use it. So I maybe need to watch a few more videos on how to add foil to a project. So this card right here, this background, I went ahead and I stamped up the background in black, and I did not like it. And so I went ahead and I colored and cut out these images, and I colored them using my zig markers. So I'm just going to take those images and adhere them with my tape runner, and that will finish off that card. I added some vellum circles in the background. The stamp set is a paper ink stamp set. It is called Hummingbirds. It is super adorable. For this next panel, I wanted it to be like a galaxy, and so I took the circle die and I cut that out. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up with some foam tape. The sentiment says you can do anything, and it's a very old Simon Says stamp set. And then I add some stickles as well to look like stars in the background, as well as some sequins. You can see in this view that there was a white line. I did not get that circle on the card exactly straight, and so I just took an alcohol marker and colored in that area in black to kind of mask that white that was peeking through a little bit. And then I decided that I was going to create another panel. I wanted to use a stencil that I just got by Ink on 3, and so I really love these neon colors. They're super vibrant and pretty, and so I went ahead and grabbed the neon yellow and the neon pink, and I'm creating this panel, and I'm going to use Ink on 3 stencil, and it's called Pondy. It's got all these little kind of like mixed media-ish circles, and I just set that on my panel, and then I'm going to dry. So I do this several times. I run the heat over it, and then I take my heat tool away and then run it over again, and that will dry that stencil impression into your card. And this is actually the Graphics Craft plastic that I used for this card. So to do the layout for this card, I am using an Altenew die and then a Catherine Pooler die. And the Altenew die made this tiny little, I used vellum, so I made this tiny little frame. So I'm using this artist tack, which I've been loving lately. And it's super helpful because it adheres the entire back of an image, whether it's vellum or cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the card. And then I am taking the die cut that says love you, and I just put some of my red top fine line glue on that, and then adhered that to a kind of a rectangle piece of vellum, which I'll turn over and then add my adhesive to that as well and stick that on the card base. And then I just matted it on a kind of a pinkish coral colored paper, and added a few liquid pearls that matched perfectly with the neon colors. And so for the next neon panel, I'm taking this Dress My Craft die, and I've die cut it 3 times using black cardstock, and I'm just going to stack those together. And then I'm going to take the die again and cut out the die using vellum. And then I'm going to take my artist tack again, and I put that entire piece of vellum onto that sticky back, which is super helpful in this case because it was so easy just to peel those pieces off of that artist tack backing and insert the negative pieces where I wanted them. And so part of the background you can see through the die, and part of it is covered in vellum. So and then I also add some white gloss. And then I am using this black cardstock background or panel, and I saved it for last because I wasn't really sure that I liked it very much, and so I wasn't sure what to do with it. But I'm taking this ink on 3. It's a new release. It is called Be Beautiful, and I'm inking that up with some Catherine Pooler It's a Girl ink. And I'm taking my Carin brush markers, I think that's how you say it, in lilac and cerise. It's a pink. And I'm just going to go ahead and take those markers and color the petals, and then I will color several of the leaves that came in the stamp set as well. I am using Bristol Smooth cardstock for this flower, and I haven't used these markers on this cardstock yet because the markers are fairly new to me, and I've used them on the watercolor paper, which they work excellent on, but they worked really well on this Bristol Smooth as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take these leaves. I'm coloring them with black, and then I am also using the cool gray, and then I add a little bit of pink as well after I blend those colors out a little bit into the leaf. And I went ahead and I took some water to the image before I started adding the marker, which is why when I put that marker down, it bled out. So I basically did wet on wet. And I'll finish those leaves up and fussy cut those out. And then I'm going to adhere the flower to my card base, which I've already, or my panel, which I've already adhered to my card base. And I adhered the flower using some sticky dots. And I just wanted to mention the ink on 3 has the center of the flower as a separate stamp. So I went ahead and stamped that up just to give that black center more definition. And then I will pop up all of the flowers with some round foam dots. And I added the sentiment from the stamp set that says Be Beautiful, and that is heat embossed in white. This ended up being my favorite card out of the bunch. Please let me know if you have a favorite, what that favorite card is in the comments below. As always, if you liked this video or found it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I will catch you next time.